Hello to all of you wonderful moms out there. This is episode 90 of the Achieve Your Ambitious Mom Life podcast. I'm your host, Anoki Kapasi. Have you been wondering if there's a way to earn what you're worth while actually having control over your schedule? What if I told you that you don't have to start over to build a flexible career that you're dreaming of? That's just what we get to the core of with part 2 of my interview with Amy Rasdal. If you haven't listened to the awesome part 1 of our discussion, then you should start there. It lays out all the ways that independent consulting can improve the work-life balance for moms. I'm linking that one in the show notes for you to check out. Now, as a reminder, Amy Rasdal traded her corporate job for consulting 15 years ago and makes more money than most executives. The advantages are freedom, flexibility, control, and interesting work and excellent pay. She has been running her own multiple six-figure consulting business for more than 15 years. Her business, Billable at the Beach, liberates other professionals by helping them create their own consulting businesses. Now, Amy is passionate about helping others find the freedom and flexibility to live the life of their dreams without sacrificing the career that they've spent so long building. And Amy is a working mother of 2. In this episode, we talk about how to plan your career change to consulting and build a flexible business without starting over so you can reclaim control, work on your own terms, and be present for your family without sacrificing income for your career credibility. Are you looking for a way to blend success and motherhood without losing sight of who you are? I get it. I've been there too. Hi, I'm Anoki, a PhD researcher, business owner, and homeschooling mom of 2 boys. As your life coach, I help moms like you create a life you love at home and at work. If you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed, overscheduled, and overlooked, and want a clear roadmap to a balanced life, a meaningful career, and finally feeling like yourself again while being the awesome mama that you are, you're in the right place. In this journey to create the life you truly desire, it's time to rediscover your dreams and achieve your ambitious mom life. I guess if there are moms out there who have these ambitious goals, what do you think are, 3 to 4 maybe essential things a mom needs to get started as a consultant? In particular, as a mom, what common mistakes maybe should they avoid? Maybe some of the mistakes you had early on, if they want to build a sort of consulting business, an independent consulting business.
So you need 4 things: a phone, a computer, brain power, and experience, whether it's business or science or whatever professional experience that you have. Mm-hmm. That's all. All of you have it.
Simple.
All of you have what you need right now to get started. It takes a little bit of courage to kind of take that leap, but I'm a really big believer in baby steps. You can take baby steps. I don't think that it always has to be a big leap. You can start taking little steps. You can dip a toe in the water. So those truly are the only 4 things that you need. You think, it was funny for me because I had been involved in startups. Venture funded, bootstrapped, big corporations, but I didn't really know what it took to start a consulting business. I didn't really know to be sort of this, you hear about self-employment taxes, you hear about things like 1099. I didn't really know what those things were because they don't exist in the corporate world. I didn't know whether there was this big mountain of like administrative stuff I had to do or not. It's not. There are just a very few things you need to do. So my whole focus is land a project, get a check in the bank. You don't need professional photos. You don't need a website. You don't need a logo. Eventually, do you need a website? Yes. To land your first project and put your first check in the bank, you don't. And I don't know, what was your experience? Your very first scientific consulting project, had you built this big digital front to get started, or was it you first just did a project?
Honestly, it was just a very natural for me. Maybe my situation is a little different because I had been working so long in the field as a consultant already. I just switched from working for a specific firm to then just doing contract work. I still don't have a website. I only have my LinkedIn account. And basically at this point, I don't seek out projects. Those projects come to me because I have developed and nurtured relationships. And so people, when certain projects come up, they think, oh, let me contact Anoki about this. And I have a couple of firms that I connect with and do contract work with and different type of work depending on the firm. With some of them, I have long-term contracts where I will just be on a standby and they will check in with me. This project, would you like to work on it? In other firms, it's just a one-time, one project. The person happens to know me and connects for that one project. And it's a single project contract. And I have said no to projects as well.
Right.
In fact, I
Which
say
is
no.
Important.
Yes.
But I want to jump in because I don't want all of you thinking, oh, well, that doesn't work for me because I'm not working as a consultant. I was not working as a consultant. And you know what? I found exactly the same experience. Mm-hmm. At the core, it's about relationships. And so I hadn't been a consultant, but all of the people that I knew, all of the people that I had worked with, the exact same thing happened, that people heard I was available and they called me to work on projects. So there's nothing about this that says you have to have done consulting before. You just have to have done stuff. And what happens is the first few times when you do a consulting project, you'll think, well, I've not been a consultant. I don't know what I'm doing. Once you dive in and get started, it's exactly what you've been doing the whole time. There's no magic about it. So that kind of leads me to the biggest mistake that I see people make, and that's not charging enough. That's thinking, oh, well, I haven't done this on my own. I haven't been a consultant. Nonsense. This is exactly what you've been doing all along. You really are a superhero with a superpower, and you should be paid what you're worth. So I think it's a little bit scary for all of us when we're on our own to really put ourselves out there at the pay rate that we deserve. Even the people in my program, even these guys that I call them sales animals, these polished guys that we've all run across who we feel like they could sell us anything. When it comes to selling themselves, they're scared too. So everyone is scared. It's fine. Do it anyhow. In some of my early days, I was afraid to charge what I was worth because I was afraid between where we are right now and putting a check in the bank, there's going to be an uncomfortable discussion about how much you need to get paid, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's never totally comfortable, but it has to be had. Once I finally just started demanding what I was worth, nobody ever batted an eye. Nobody laughed in my face and said, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. And at the core, I think that's what we're afraid of. It doesn't happen, right?
What I also find is that the more you have the conversation, right? The first time feels awkward, but as you have multiple instances of having to do that, you get a little more comfortable. And then honestly, I think that the people on the other side, the people who are hiring you, it's not like they want to sit there and talk about it either. They're also just kind of like, let's get this over with so we can move on and do the actual work. Because their main pain point is the reason they're even talking to you in the first place. They just want the project done. They need somebody to do it. So just tell me, is this going to be feasible or not, you know? And so I think that you're doing them as much of a favor as you're doing yourself by just being so clear about what you need.
I think that's such an important point because you're in an enviable position where projects are coming to you. Most of us have to do a significant amount of outreach to have the projects come.
Sure.
And I think a lot of us feel uncomfortable, like we're imposing on somebody by just sort of spreading the word and saying, hey, I'm on my own now. I left whatever company or position. I'm doing this. We kind of feel like we're imposing or we're asking for a favor. We're not. Imagine you're sitting at your desk in your corporate whatever position. It's a Friday afternoon and you're sitting there, and especially this time of year, we're coming to year end. Some of you may be in this position thinking, I have all of these projects that still need to be done. I would love to hire an outside resource, but I don't even know how to find them. And here comes Enoki's outreach across your desk, and you're thinking, it's the answer to my dreams. So you really owe it to the world to get your talents out there. People need you. It's not an imposition.
Right, exactly. Right. And I think that it is interesting because if we've worked so hard to develop our skills, we've gone through all of this training and, sorry, my son is in the back.
That's fine. I saw the blur walk by.
So it's like, you know how much work and energy you've put in to develop the career that you have. You could easily figure if there was another person who had the same skill set as you and that you know, you needed to do that work, how much would you be willing to pay for that? Right. And then flip it and say, okay, well, then I should be getting the same amount. And I think sometimes we get nervous about our own dreams and our own goals. and you forget that you're standing on this foundation of valuable, sometimes even rare experience, you know?
Absolutely.
So now that moms might be thinking about starting their consulting business, how can moms build that client relationship that we said, is kind of important to finding clients, and especially ones that align with their values as a mom? So what does it look like to set boundaries that prevent burnout while still being able to achieve your financial goals?
I think that you need to make your decisions about how much you want to work and then how you want to work. So I've talked about, for me, I really like to mix it all up and blend it. I've done conference calls from Disneyland. I've done conference calls while I'm pushing a shopping cart through Costco. Those ideas, or working on vacation, that concept horrifies some people. It worked for
I
me.
love it.
Yeah, so you have to admit, I mean, I laugh, this is sort of an extreme story, but when my son was born, it just happened to be a period of time when I had a ton of work. So I had to take my laptop, like any ambitious mother does, to the hospital with me to have the baby. So he was born in the morning. He's sound asleep. Sort of the excitement's died down. Everyone's gone. He's sound asleep, but I'm still sort of like not ready to go to sleep. And I got out my laptop and like started doing some emails because I didn't feel like just reading a book or a magazine. And I thought,
Mhm,
like, let's just do some work. And it
mhm.
sounds crazy, but the important thing is that was my choice. If you
Yes.
envision your maternity leave being, I am not going to touch anything for 3 months, then that's totally fine. I was, like I say, it was my choice. I was taking on new projects 6 weeks before he was born. And then I was going to, and again, this might sound crazy, but my husband works in the music business. We both have a lot of flexibility. So I was going to client meetings. The newborn would be in the car with my husband. So the baby and he were a half hour. Neither of us really liked the idea of being 30 minutes away from a 2-week-old baby. He didn't like the idea of being with the baby alone, and I didn't. So they would come with me. They would be outside. They were a text message away. It always worked out. So I've done some really crazy blending things. If that sounds horrifying, you can do the opposite. So decide how much you want to work, decide what the things you want to do. And then the other thing that I think is really important is you never want to give any one client all of your time.
Mhm, mhm,
So they never have the idea that they sort of own you. My goal was to work enough to make full-time equivalent
mhm,
pay. So I always have kind of like two major clients and then an assortment of smaller ones. And that allowed me, there was never an expectation from the client side that I was fully available. So if all of a
mhm,
sudden it's Thursday and they say, we really need you for an all-day meeting on Friday, it's an emergency. If I agreed and could clear the time, I could join. If
mhm,
not, or if I couldn't clear my schedule, or I didn't agree that it was an emergency, which is sometimes the case, I could say, I'm so sorry, I'm not available. I can dial in for an hour,
mhm,
or I'm not available at all, or if you record it, I'll listen to it later.
mhm,
You get to really decide. There's nobody's
mhm,
responsible for your pay, for your promotion.
mhm,
It's really all up to you. So I think
mhm,
there is a certain level of getting comfortable with
mhm,
setting what you need to set and
mhm,
really doing some work, probably with somebody like you, honestly, in advance
mhm,
to think about what do I, and I actually have a program. I don't consider myself a life coach or a mindset coach,
mhm.
but I actually do have some sections in my program that stop back and think about what do you want your consulting life to look like? What other
Yeah.
things do you want to think about?
I mean, you have to, because that is probably what's driving a lot of people to consider
Yes,
consulting as an option, which is why we have you on today. So, yeah,
right.
I just love it. And I do think like balance, just like I said, that your idea of success and your goals will change after motherhood. And so sometimes you will unnecessarily hang on to a definition of success that you had pre-motherhood, which no longer applies. It doesn't fit with your life. And it's okay if those things change. You just have to understand that that has changed. I think the same thing about balance. What does balance mean to you? That will change pre-motherhood and as you transition into motherhood. As you gave your example with your, being in the hospital and choosing to work a little bit, that is a definition of balance that you have found, works for you. The ability to work when and how you want is your form of balance. this is a sort of, I think, false impression that people have that balance means that I'm equally spending time doing this with my family, doing these mom duties, doing work, doing exercise, like that is all equally proportioned out. And that's not necessarily what we refer to when we say balance. Balance is not being sucked fully into any one thing and having the choice to say yes or no to things. And so,
I really
yeah.
like that definition of balance. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think I came into this conversation feeling not quite sure what I thought about the word balance, but that explanation of it makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm,
It's
mm-hmm,
not the idea that everything has to be equal, because
mm-hmm,
that doesn't necessarily make sense. And being mindful about not hanging on to those old things. And I know for me, I talked about I really wanted to rule the world. Now I rule my world.
yep.
And it's just as important and rewarding, and perhaps more important and more
Mm-hmm,
rewarding to rule my
mm-hmm.
own world than to rule the world.
Yeah. 100%. That is literally the foundation of what what I'm doing. So I loved how you put it. So I just have one more question, and thank you so much for being so generous with your time. I know that you have a lot to do. So as you know, I teach moms how to not have to choose between their ambitions or their motherhood, how to do everything that they want to do in their lives. So for you, how has building your own business allowed you to fulfill your potential while staying present for your family? You gave me so many examples, but if you had to sort of articulate that in one or two sentences, what would you say is the crux?
And I really take it back to freedom, flexibility, and control, being able to control. But I think it's also important that we keep ourselves always part of our mind open to possibilities.
Mm-hmm,
Because sometimes when I look at some of the most successful people, there's a willingness to take risk,
mm-hmm,
staying open to the possibilities. And one of my favorite quotes is, you never get the chance to be lucky unless you take risks. A certain sense of serendipity that if an opportunity presents itself, to kind of leave enough space to explore or jump on it. And I think that's where we come into the idea of balance, to not have yourself scheduled so tightly that there's not room for something else to come in, because that might be the thing that really
mm-hmm.
kind of tips the scale and makes the difference. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes absolute sense. I understand where you're going with that, but also the concept of keeping space is something that I talk a lot about, is just having buffers, not just for what you were saying, which is new opportunities in, having the space to try other things, but also because life doesn't always go in the exact precision that we would like in our ideal scheduling setup. As a mom with chaotic lives, things are going to go awry sometimes, and having that white space in your schedule is really important so that you don't feel like you're constantly having to swim your way to the surface. But I love the secondary notion that these buffers can serve as opportunities to invite new things, to try new things, to be able to explore. So I love that. So thank you for that. And also just thank you for making the time to be here. I think it's really special whenever I can have some really purpose-driven mom be on the show, and I love that you were able to share some of your values on the podcast today. I had a really great time having you on. And where can my listeners find you?
Yeah, so my business is called Billable at the Beach. So I have, you can find me at my website, Billable at the Beach. At my website, I have a free email course that's called 3 Action Steps to Generate Revenue Now. It's 3 easy steps that I'll feed to you in a free email course that will tell you how to get started. It's simple, it's easy, and anyone can do it. I also have a free webinar that will dig a little bit deeper if you like that kind of a format. I also did a book if you're a reader, or I know especially moms. I also did an audiobook. I did it in my voice, so you get to hear me and know me a little bit. I tried to make it light and easy and tell a lot of stories. So you can also, it's not a big investment or anything. It comes in all the formats.
What
So
is the book called?
the book is called Land a Consulting Project Now. And so here's just a little tip. If you sign up for the email course, then you'll end up on my email list. I promise not to barrage you, and you can always unsubscribe. But 5 days every quarter, my book is free. So if you're on my email list, or if you just follow me on LinkedIn, you'll find that out. And if you're thinking I'm interested, I want a little bit more, then feel free to dig in. Of course, I have a paid program, but I try to provide a lot of great free resources that can get you started, get you going, get you thinking about it, so that even if you're not quite ready, you can lay the foundation. So I invite you to find me if you're interested. If you want to take a shot at this, you can go all in, you can stick a toe in the water. And I also just want to say, there's nothing special about me. Any and all of you can do this. There's nothing magic. All of you have what it takes to be able to do this if you choose to. And I really believe that all of us can live the life that we deserve if we just choose it.
That is so awesome. Okay, ladies, there you have it. Amy Rasdal of Billable at the Beach. She just listed a treasure trove of information for you. I hope you explore her website out and all of her resources. I will link everything that she mentioned in the show notes, so you won't have to hunt for anything. And I am so happy that you were able to come on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wasn't that an awesome interview? I hope you got to listen to both parts of it. If you're feeling stuck in a full-time job that's stealing your family time, remember, you don't have to start over. You can leverage your existing expertise to build a flexible, even six-figure consulting business that gives you freedom, control, and excellent pay. Now imagine waking up tomorrow with a concrete next step, feeling confident that you're moving towards a career that fits your life as a mom. That's the power of understanding that consulting is about taking strategic steps that help you transition out of your corporate employment and into independent consulting without sacrificing financial security or any other part of your career. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you that this episode and last week's part 1 are part of my Career Change for Moms series. So we're 4 episodes down and 4 more to go. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the series. If this conversation resonated with you, please share this episode with a friend. This information can really change someone's life. And also find us on LinkedIn. I share tons of tips and key takeaways, fresh perspectives, even polls and infographics on this platform. You can take them and repost them if you want. You can search on LinkedIn for the Solve for Mom company page, or even tag any comment with @SolveForMom, and I'll see it and be able to respond to you. And if you're ready to explore any big idea, audacious goal, or ambitious dream in your career or in your life, one that could give you the work-life balance that you're seeking, then please take advantage of your free life planning audit call using the link in the show notes. I'd love to talk to you and go over what's working, what's not, and how to get you that ideal life that you've been dreaming of. So if you're a high-achieving mom that's striving to balance your ambitions with your motherhood, then you're going to want to talk to me, because together we can build that clear roadmap to help you customize your life to fit your goals. Thanks for listening. Ambitious moms, keep moving forward to your ideal life one step at a time. I hope today's episode will help you create time and freedom to pursue something you love to do. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe and tell other purpose-driven mamas about it. Who knows? You might even make a new friend by sharing a tip. It's all free. By the way, it would be amazing to hear what you think about the show when you leave a review on Apple Podcasts. After all, my passion is to make this a great experience for you. I'll see you next week for another episode of Achieve Your Ambitious Mom Life with Anoki Kapasi.